Hi, I'm Greg, and this is my Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind playthrough. This is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It was the first RPG that I played that wasn't a JRPG, being Final Fantasy or Golden Sun. It honestly blew my mind back then, and now a decade and a half later, we'll be playing it again. No guides, no real tutorial fall throughs, no optimal playthrough. This would just be pretty much a character that we built, Jiren Fadathrem, who is a Dunmer, or Dark Elf, and we will be going pretty much off the top of the dome. And any bugs or, conflicts that may arise in the game, I'll work around those in the back end. Hopefully you won't see any of them. But pretty much we'll be going through all the parts and seeing if the game still holds up today in comparison to modern RPGs. This first part, though, will be the introductory area of Seyda Neen and all the quests within that will be marked and unmarked quest, per se, for what is considered in this game. So, hope you enjoy. Be ready to sit down, relax, and enjoy the first part of the journey of Jiren.
They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up. Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
Blinking a few times as we get up, we shake our head and try to shake off this nightmare or dream that we had, and we say, Jiren Fadathrem.
Well, not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
Morrowind? I was in an Imperial prison. How?
Quiet. Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
You better do what they say.
Heeding the advice of our former fellow prisoner, we follow the guard up the ramp and hopefully out onto some port in Morrowind. Never been here before, but maybe someone in the office will have answers.
Get yourself up on deck and let's keep this as civil as possible.
The sooner you leave, the sooner we can move on.
Not wanting to anger our guards, we head up the hatch.
This is where they want you. Head down to the dock and it'll show you to the census office.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
We peer over the side of the dock, taking in the reflection of the beautiful waters, and take a look at our face. It's been a while since we've looked in a mirror, much less any type of reflective device. And notice that the tattoos from our youth still cover our face, and we still have managed to keep our head cleanly shaved. We're ready to go.
Great. I'm sure you'll fit right in. Follow me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
As we follow the guard, we wonder, why Morrowind? Why are we here? Hi, I'm Jiren Fadathrem.
Ah, yes, we've been expecting you. You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
We can answer some questions.
On a clear day, you chance upon a strange animal, its leg trapped in a hunter's claw snare. Judging from the bleeding, it will not survive long. What do you do?
Herbs from our pack to put it to sleep.
One summer afternoon, your father gives you a choice of chores. What would you rather do?
I love fishing, and going in the nice stream, always a good choice.
Your cousin has given you a very embarrassing nickname, and even worse, likes to call you it in front of your friends. You have asked him to stop, but he finds it very amusing to watch you blush. What do you do?
This actually happened to us when we were children. Giggle feats. It became my badge of honor.
There is a lot of heated discussion at the local tavern over a group of people called telepaths. They've been hired by certain city-state kings. Rumor has it these telepaths read a person's mind and tell their lord whether a follower is telling the truth or not. You believe what?
It's a bad practice. No king and should invade a person's mind, and no matter the reason. People have their rights too.
Your mother sends you to the market with a list of goods to buy. After you finish, you find that by mistake a shopkeeper has given you too much money back in exchange for one of the items. What do you do?
My family could use the money, honestly. I could use the money. I'd rather just go and purchase some other things my family needs. Shopkeeper had plenty of money if he's being that careless anyways.
While in a marketplace, you witness a thief cut a purse from a noble. Even as he does so, the noble notices and calls for the city guards. In his haste to get away, the thief drops the purse near you. Surprisingly, no one seems to notice the bag of coins at your feet. What do you do?
It's a noble. No one's gonna notice it. It could help my family.
Your father sends you on a task which you loathe, cleaning the stables. On the way there, pitchfork in hand, you run into your friend from the homestead near your own. He offers to do it for you, in return for a future favor of his choosing. What do you do?
I'll tell him that two heads are better than one, and perhaps both of us should work on it. And at a later date, he can ask me for help. Fair trade.
Your mother asks you to help fix the stove. While you're working, a very hot pipe slips its moorings and falls towards her. What do you do?
Grab it and push her out the way.
While in town, the baker gives you a sweet roll. Delighted, you take it into an alley to enjoy, only to be intercepted by a gang of 3 other kids your age. The leader demands the sweet roll, or else he and his friends will beat you and take it. What do you do?
I think I'd act like I'm going to give him the sweet roll and then toss it in the air, hoping that he looks at it, and as he does, punch him as hard as I can and hope that drops the big oaf.
Entering town, you find that you are witness to a very well-dressed man running from a crowd. He screams to you for help. The crowd behind him seems very angry. What do you do?
I'll run to the man. Perhaps he's being wrongfully accused, or maybe he's got enough coin that'll make my time to help him out. And, if you wanted to know as a witch hunter, should have just asked.
Very good. The letter that preceded you mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
Well, I've been told I might be a Pisces, but I could see... Oh, you mean the signs of the stars. Well, I would say, Brentis, Atronach are always nice signs, but I was born in the summer months. I think my mother said the lady?
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
Looks good to me.
Show your papers to the captain when you exit to get your release fee.
Take a look at the papers, seeing that Uriel Septim did actually decree us released. Our name, our race, and our occupation all listed on the documents. All signed by Socius himself. You take it. We look at Socius. He says that he offers some training, and he says that he could teach us about some sneak, acrobatics, or light armor. We decline as we don't have the coin.
Continue through to the next building and talk to Celes Gravius.
After Gankyle opens the door next to him, we ask him about the Imperial Legion, and He says that there's about 5 forts in Morrowind, and that and he wonders if we were looking to join. As to why we asked him about joining, and he says that currently everyone's full except perhaps Fort Darius, manned by General Darius, and in Nissus they're always looking for some extra hands there. Thank him, and head on our way. Closing the door behind us, because we need some loot if we're going to make it through, we notice a dagger on the table. We equip it in our right hand and give it a couple swings. The last time we held a knife this good was that time we accidentally killed that witch. Turns out it was just a little girl. Anyways, we read the note on the table. Riskar, don't think I've forgotten our wager. I want this dagger as sharp as a scamp's claw by morning, Gankyle. Well, Gankyle, seems it'll do the job, and we'll be taking this for now. Grabbing some flynn, crab meat, and bread off the table, and a lockpick. We know we'll need this if we need to maybe get out of prison in the future again. Opening the small chest on the ground, we're able to find some gold inside. Much needed gold, considering right now we're pretty much broke. Look on the shelf and notice a book, The Ferment by Fulke. Reading through it, we know the stories that we were always told by Mother, the warrior, who was the guardian of our constellation, the Lady. The Mage constellation, filthy witches. And the Thief constellation, where, when you get into trouble, he's pretty useful. Take a look through the rest of the constellations, and particularly their meeting. And we read the Lady. It says kind and tolerant, and though we are fairly kind and tolerant, we do have our downsides to ourselves. Putting the book up, looking through, we notice a large Quama egg. Mother would get these from time to time. Downstairs, we notice a bedroll, some baskets. Closing the door, we make our way back up and out into the fresh air for the first time in a while. Taking a look at the map they provided us, you see we're in a small town called Seyda Neen. Okay, we hear chiming from this barrel and discover a small magic ring inside, engraved with tomes of healing. We equip the ring, and then, channeling the magic, we hold out our hands and see if we can remember how to cast these words. A little bit of respite. Entering the door, we turn to the Imperial on our west, introducing ourselves. This Imperial introduces himself as Celis Gravius. Sir Gravius says that his background isn't important, but he's here to welcome us to Morrowind nonetheless. We ask him specifically what he does, and he says he's a knight-errant of the Imperial Legion. Little more detail as we speak to him, and he goes on to describe Morrowind in detail to us, and he doesn't know why we're here, but Uriel Septim himself requested us here. We ask about Uriel Septim, and he says he's still the Emperor, and questions if we've lost our minds since we've been in prison. Perhaps we have. We're talking to ourselves in our head right now, and we ask about the Empire and what it's doing in Morrowind. After a lengthy explanation, we pretty much gather that the Empire rules over all of Vardenfell, including Morrowind. Morrowind is not exempt, and Uriel Septim is the proud leader of the Empire, and it will stand strong. Hoorah, soldier. But anyways, we quickly just ask him about the duties that apparently Uriel Septim, the Emperor himself, have given to us. Explains to us that a package we're supposed to deliver to a Caius Cosades in Balmora, and that Caius Cosades can be found in a small tavern called Southwall Corner Club.
Speak freely, friend.
We ask him one more question, as we almost forgot to ask. Balmora, where's that? He responds to us, gives us some general information about it, and then gives us some rough directions, but says that we could go to Ariel's trade house to speak to Alone the Scout, and she should be able to tell us better directions. But he recommends taking the Stilt Strider. It's fast, cheap, and easy. Wouldn't have to worry about hoofing it the whole way. We then ask him about Caius Cosadis himself. To which he just tells us to report in Balmora to him. He says he doesn't know where, but he's heard that he hangs out at Southwall Corner Club. We ask him a little more details about himself and about being an Imperial and finding out more, as we are a cultured Dunmer, and we care to know about our fellow peoples in the lands. We thank him and head on our way, before asking one more question about the Stilt Striders themselves. And he tells us there's some type of bug-like creature with a hollowed-out compartment that's controlled by a driver, and basically you sit inside a warm, gooey mess while you're carried along the river to one of the settlements that are attached to the Stilt Strider themselves. We grit our teeth and nod at this information. It's a little strange, to be honest, but we thank him all the same. Taking a look at our journal before we head out, we have our instructions. We know that Caius Cosadis is the destination, and he lives in Balmora. Hopefully someone at Southwall can give us information and tell us what the hell is going on. Making our way outside, we take a look around, gather some fresh air, and talk to the nearest person to us. We run into an Indorel who is able to tell us about herself and also tell us about specific places in town. So far, we learn about Ariel's trade house, which we've been told before to go to find a loan, and then also the Census and Excess office, which is also the Coast Guard, and of course a lighthouse. It's a small town, she says, and really not much going on here. So we thank her.
Outlander, what do
She
you want?
kind of gets angry with us, calling us an outlander, and asks what we want, but we say nothing more and walk off to the next person we see. We greet him, and he greets himself as Vodnius Nessius, and tells us some about his trade, that he's just a commoner. He does things what he can do around here, and says that simply from our accent, he can tell we are from Cyrodiil, that we are not from Morrowind, and we would be considered an outlander to everyone else. Well, we take that advice in mind, and then ask him some advice. He says, new here? Well, if you need to get around, the easiest way with little hassle and no problem from bandits and outlaws would be to head over to the Stilt Strider, go to Darvame Liran, and ask her about transportation, that we should mention his name should we go there. We also ask him about some of the latest rumors, and he says his son was recently dragged to Fort Frostmoth, the island of Solstium. He doesn't know what he did to deserve that, but it can't be good. We ask him about Solstium, and he says that it's a small island to the north, and that if we wanted to go there, we'd need to find transportation in a town called Kull. Asking him about secrets after we share one of ours, that we're a prisoner, he tells us to talk to everyone, and that talk is cheap. We thank him. One of the first quests that you can run into in Seyda Neen is presented here by Fargoth, who, when you first greet him, he recognizes that you came off the boat, seems that he's been keeping tabs on us, and also lets you know that he swears that the guard took his ring. You have the option here to tell him no, there was no ring, or you can be truthful and let him know that you did find a ring in a barrel, which seems to be his family ring. And once you give it to him, he helps you out by letting you know that he is going to let his good friend, the Ultimar Ariel, at the trade house know and hopefully give us a good deal. And a friend of his is now a friend of Ariel's. He tells us greetings and salutations after we just talked, and we check our journal, jotting down all that we did for the small Bosmer, and, giving back the ring. It was a minor enchantment. Not that useful, and, getting deals when we have literally hardly any drakes to our name currently. It's more worthwhile to actually be able to get a good discount at this point. We head inside and go purchase some items. After purchasing, we make our way upstairs and run into a Nord named Hiskar Flatfoot. He tells us that we look like we could use friends and he needs to recover some gold. He lets us know that he's in some gambling trouble as of recently, and, it's totally not his fault, but if that fetcher Fargoth hadn't lied to him, he would be able to pay off the rest of his own debts. So he tells us that he could help us out and get us some more friends and maybe some gold of our own if we find Fargoth's hiding place. We ask him again, this is the only way you want to recover some gold? Pretty much repeats what he had told us before, to which we say, okay, so what about Fargoth's hiding place? He says he knows that it's somewhere. He's just gone through his house, gone through pretty much everywhere, but couldn't find it. He thinks that the best place to do would, he says that if we agree to it, he'll tell us where we should look. We agree, as we don't know Fargoth that well, and after we tell him so, he says that he knows he wanders around town at night, sneakily, like a little fetcher that he is. But we should watch his movements from the lighthouse. He can't see up there, he's got poor vision, and that maybe then we'll be able to see where he goes for his hiding spot in the town. We thank him, and turn around and investigate the rest of the bar. As we're doing so, we jot all this down in our book, noting that we can gain a friend in Hiskar. And then also, Fargoth might be mad, but, if he doesn't know we took anything from his hiding spot, how could he be mad at us?
Yes, Dunmer?
What's your story?
After walking around the bar for a bit, we run into a Redguard, alone, as she introduces herself. This is the one that Gravius had pointed us to. She tells us that she can tell us pretty much about all the southwestern region of Morrowind, so we ask her about Balmora and directions specifically there. She gives us a little insight that some House Lalu is in charge, and that it's the second largest city in all of Vardenfell, but we then get directions from her, which she admits are confusing and writes them down in our journal to be a little bit helpful. We thank her. Later that evening, however, after we've completed some of the other things that we were looking to do, we make our way up the lighthouse. We know that in a few hours, Fargoth will be stalking around, and hopefully we'll be able to find out just where this hiding spot of his is. A little extra gold won't hurt, especially after finding that tax collector's information. We shake that thought from our mind for now and just start looking out over the horizon of the town. As we wait, it feels like time flies by in an instant. But we ponder to ourselves in our new armor that we've been able to afford, staring up at the night sky and wondering, when will he begin his rounds? We're told that Hiskar told us, but, as they say, waiting makes things go by extremely fast and not slow at all. And while we wait, we just continue to look around the town. When we start to feel a little dozy, we decide better not to sleep. It would be illegal sleeping up here in the lighthouse. We look around, check the skies. No rain, we think, and then we finally see it. Creeping along the ground, Fargoth starts to walk towards everywhere, and He starts heading towards the lighthouse itself. As he pauses, we think better to hide in the shadows, as it looks like he's coming to see. Maybe he spotted us? Peer over the side and stare down at Fargoth, hoping he doesn't notice us when all of a sudden he turns around. Okay. Maybe blinded by his torch or blinded by the fire of the lighthouse next to us, he couldn't see us, so we just continue a careful vigil over the night as he walks. And is he sneaking around people? Do they just know? Why is he crawling into the bog? They don't see him in the bog area? Maybe they just think Fargoth's disgusting, because I certainly think so, but it's strange that he put out his torch there and is now creeping back. I think we found his hiding spot, and Fargoth's creeping around, but it looks like there's 2 Imperial soldiers. Maybe they're gonna question him, accost him? Nope, they just walk right by. I think this is a game that they play with each other, because there's no way. How do you not see him walking around? Well, as Fargoth stalks off creepily, we finally decide better to stand up ourselves and start making our way down and check this hiding spot out. We get sniffed by Indril. Strange small shanty. Anyways, we check inside the hollowed out log and find 300 gold, excuse me, a lockpick, and Fargoth's family ring. Well, Fargoth, I think it's just a destiny that the ring should come back to us. It seems that it wanted to come back, in a sense. Divinely. Well, we make our way up back to Ariel's trade house and go upstairs to talk to Hisker. Hiskar greets us and wonders if we find the hiding spot, to which we answer yes. It was in a stump in the middle of town. Well, he said, anyways, he nods off that we find it, takes the gold, gives us 100 back, and then tells us anything else we found in there is now ours, and thanks us for the help. We have earned a new friend. We, with a cheerful thing, and making his night so he can waste more money playing 9 holes, we write down in our journal all we've done and get ready to go purchase some more items down in the shop below, now that we've completed some of our more unscrupulous acts, you could say.
Welcome, Dunmer. Please speak freely.
What is this about?
After making some much-needed purchases and spending all the time we got, we think back to the tragedy that we uncovered earlier in the day. We think back first to the lighthouse when we met the keeper. We greet her as we enter, and she apparently has heard our name.
Yes, Outlander?
Small town, word travels fast, we guess. But she's very hospitable and tells us that she'll help us with services, specific places, or whatever. But we ask her name, and she reveals herself to be Tharvir Vendrano, and gives us a little advice to boot, and lets us know that since we're so new, that perhaps throwing some coin people's way, considering how destitute the town is, it might actually help us and give us some answers. We thank her for that information. She mumbles to herself as we walk away, and as we make our way up the stairs, we see a book, and it trains us a little bit on unarmed combat. We learn the art of fighting by reading. And remember, sometimes you don't need to be you can be unarmored to resist even the mightiest of foes. Putting the book down, look out, and we think of the awful rumor we heard earlier of the tax collector, Process Vitalis, being missing? Who would kidnap a man in such a small town like this? But also, he must really hate taxes around here. Look out towards the west. Wonder if maybe he's out there. We have to collect some supplies while we wait for nightfall anyways, so might as well search around a bit. As we search the grounds, find some scribs and go scrib jelly hunting. As Mother used to have it flown into Cyrodiil, we miss the taste of scrib. This is the first time we'll have fresh scrib in our life, so we go down after bashing them with our newly purchased mace and grab some of that sweet, sweet scrib jelly. We can already smell it, and it's just like Mother used to make it. We, look down, grab some more scrib jelly out of the first one we disposed of, and turn around. We walk by, we notice some mushrooms that we can collect, and then that's when the sound of flies and the smell catches us. We notice a body, we turn away in disgust and check the corpse. Find a rolled up tax record and some gold. We look down, and this is quite obviously the tax records of Process Vitalis. It seems he was making his rounds collecting the monthly taxes, yearly taxes. We're not sure how they collect taxes here, but either way, he was grabbing his taxes, and it seems someone's killed him. Cold, disgusting swamp murder. Collect the gold for good measure. Gotta go let someone know about this, and quickly. Write it down in our journal that we found his body and that he was carrying his gold. Strange that no one would rob him, but who knows? Who knows why they wanted the tax collector dead? Making our way back to town, we run into Indrel, who sniffed us earlier, and say, "We found the body of Process." She doesn't act too surprised, and it's kind of apathetic when she says, "You might as well go tell the Exis office or do nothing with it."
Think it'll rain?
This is a wondrous encounter. Welcome.
Seems the news of the dead tax collectors got everyone in good spirits, as we make our way inside the Census and Exis office. We let Socius know that Process has been murdered. Finding out that he's been murdered, he asked why someone would do this, but then he also kind of asked coldly if we had found his dues that he had collected. Tell him yes. Being honest with him, he tells us that with that honesty, he trusts us enough to go find the man who murdered him. Closing his eyes in shame for even asking, he says that if we're able to bring the murderer to justice, he'll gladly pay us 500 septums for this. We let him know we'll try our best and start our investigation through the town. After checking our journal for some notes and writing down exactly what we'd encountered, we start to recall what had gone on for this to happen. We're thinking about the missing tax collector, who might even want him dead. So we open up the tax records, take a look. Ariel's paid, Drarin has paid, Eldifier hasn't paid. Look back and notice Eldifier in the distance. Double check again just to make sure. We take off our pants first, because it's pretty hot and it seems like a bug had crawled in there, but we grab the tax records, and after grabbing the tax records, we then confirm, yes, Eldifier hasn't paid. Maybe he was paying her a visit next. After talking to Eldifier, we let her know Process was murdered, and you were last on his list. She says, so someone finally killed him? Well, wasn't her, but she knows that he'd been getting close to the lighthouse keeper, and that the two of them, the last few months, had really become an item. We thank her, even though she sends her condolences along as we make our way towards the lighthouse. We write this down as evidence in our journal. And, we think perhaps maybe the Veer can shed some light on this situation as we make our way to the lighthouse.
I suppose I could spare a moment or two. Such useless creatures.
Making our way in, weary, we look at her and say, "The Veer, Process has been murdered." She lets out a cry, "No!" as she finds out that her lover has been taken down. She calls him a gentle man, says that he was a great man, and that she doesn't understand why anyone would do this, that he was slow to anger, and the only 2 times she's seen him, it wasn't even that angry. We ask him about when he got angered, and she says that really he was just arguing, and primarily his arguments had lately been with Forn Gilneth, who was accusing him of taking some money off the top for himself. She claims that is ridiculous and says that whatever happened, that she'd like to know if we found a ring that she had given him, and that it would mean a lot to her. She says that if she could get that back, it would be a great keepsake. We tell her we'll try to find it for her and thank her as we make our way out. We have someone to talk to. It seems that Forn is at the top of the list now. May the Nine Divine have mercy on his soul as we begin to walk towards his small shack. We look at the sun, taking note that on this day, there may be 2 bodies the sun sets on.
Under sun and sky, Outlander, we greet you warmly.
Making our way into the shack, we confront Forn. "Forn, Process has been murdered. Are you responsible?" He calls him a fetcher and says that it was a good thing that he's dead, and that he was definitely skimming off the top and keeping the difference for himself. He was always flaunting his wealth and his jewels and clothes, so that he killed him and left his body to rot with all his ill-begotten gold on him. We tell him that that's no excuse for murder, Thorn. You can't do this. It's wrong. You need to turn yourself in. He says that we're in league with the rest of the office, the dirty tax collectors, and that we are not a true dark elf, and he will kill us. Quickly cast a found dagger, and the most stunning combat before your eyes is before you. Just if you could see what I could see, the rendered quality of this fight right now, the dodges, the blows, the cuts, it's not just a knife being swung randomly with a percentile chance. I promise you, it's just the rendering effects of this software can't keep up with the sheer dynamic combat. As he falls with a final blow, check his body. Indeed, finding Process's ring, a measly amount of gold, and a tankard as he was drinking to his own victory earlier in the day. We leave his body for someone else to collect. After dealing with Forn, we make our way back to the lighthouse to tell Therbeer the sad news. I have Process's ring, Therbeer. fact that we found it was enough for her. She thanks us, and with that rewards us with some potions that she had given him. He was supposed to be traveling with them, but for whatever reason chose not to. She looks sad, but is grateful that we were able to give him the ring back. We then go back to the census office and speak to Socius. Socius, we've taken care of the murderer. It seems word had traveled fast, and he had already heard about it. Forn's body has already been collected, and with that, we'll be paid our 500 gold back to our inventory. We thank him. Start making our way out. As we make our way out, we know that we've got to go to Ariel's and prepare to look at the lighthouse. But we know that we've got some lurking to do this evening. Also earlier this day, we remember talking to Eldafire the first time we met her. And after asking her about herself, she told us a little advice. Kind of standoffish, telling us that we look more than capable than the guards around here, and that perhaps we could clear out the nearby Adamastorus cave. We look at her and say, yes, Eldafire, maybe if we have time, we can do so. Reminiscing on this as we finish up our purchase from Ariel's shop in the evening, we remember Eldafire's words as they ring true in our head, and make our way towards the cave. It's late at night, and we think now is the best time that we could equip our bow and equip the ring we earned back from Fargoth, well, really from Riskar, and perhaps we could, in turn, make sure that these smugglers in the nearby caves don't harass Seyda Neen anymore. Equipping the magics prepared to do battle, and a bow, we begin our travel forward, slow and steady as to not alert the denizens within. Grabbing some spores from the nearby for some alchemy later. We crouch, and as soon as we do, she notices us. The shadows and clang of the door alert her. So we equip the battle axe we found in a tree stump. There's a lot of things in tree stumps around here. We stand up and take it and swing. Oh, she cuts us a few times. It's hurting us quite dearly, and we realize we're not trained to use an axe. We deal with witches with spells and maces, so we equip our mace and take it forward and scream, "Die, smuggler!" as we clubber as many times, and the action rolls on. And we feel better about our chances. She curses us, and as we send a final blow, she dies as she calls us stupid. We take her dagger that she stabbed us with, some of the gold on her person, and a key labeled slave. Strange. Well, we make our way down and start exploring the rest of this room. One final enchantment cast. We make our way into the next room, hoping that none of the other smugglers heard us. We equip our bow once again, prepared to take out the smugglers from a long distance. Crouch in preparation, hoping that they didn't hear us from the next room over. Looking down the path, we see a robed... It's a witch! Kill him while we have the chance! Do some wild shots as he nimbly dodges by not even moving. And we shoot as many times as we can as he casts destruction magic, but unfortunately for him, we are a dark elf. We are resistant to fire. But after taking a severe blow, 2 more twungs of our bow, 1 more into his body as we pause and let it go. And a second just to make sure he was dead. Double tap. It always is the effective strategy. We open up his belongings. I think we hear something. Put away the bow and check his belongings. As we do, we find a simple dagger and a arrow that we forget to put in our quiver, but that'll be solved at a later time that you won't see, so, you know, whatever. Anyways, we take what we can from him, leaving just his clothes, and start making our way down. Creepily roll. It's been quite a long time since we've cast magic, and the power of our ancestor. Perhaps he can help us as we see a woman come running. She throws small Chinese stars at us, Chintan stars at us, and as she does it, we cast a ghost of our ancestral being. As he starts to attack, we take position and start firing arrows at her blindly, hoping that they hit. Her ability to catch an arrow mid-air and stop the damage is great, but no match to this final blow we are able to land on her. And as she falls, we thank our ancestor, put up our bow, and make our way over to search the body. We find another chitin dagger and some bracers, as well as a lockpick and a probe for getting rid of traps. Interesting. Well, with that, we start investigating the rest of Adamastor's cave, as we don't hear the telltale signs of smugglers anymore. After exploring some more in here and finding some moon sugar, some supplies, and even some skooma, we finally make our way through, and plunging in cold water, we find another path and a use for that key that had slave etched into the side of it. Hopefully, no slaves are kept in this horrible condition back in these caves. Obviously, these smugglers weren't just smuggling illicit drugs. They're smuggling people as well, potentially. Swimming down, we find a potion and a skull. Hopefully that wasn't the skull of one of the slaves. We make our way up and take another look around. And then that's when we hear a small rat making its disgusting little noises as we equip the axe from earlier, and we deem this as a much more easy target to test our axe skills with. So we take it, and we heave it up and swing mightily. This rat able to dodge many blows, as this is the most death rat. Okay, who am I kidding? This is the combat. It's a lot of swings and anyways, we hit 3 hits and a last final blow coming in right. Oh, it dodges and then wow! As it strikes the rat dead. We are good, and we decide to take the rat meat from the small hide. As we make our way up, we notice more skeletons, but this seems not to be a slave. Maybe someone who got lost here much earlier, as there's gold, a pauldron, and a ring to the left that we totally didn't miss, and in a later part I'll be gathering in the inn, called the Thief Ring. That's a really good ring for early level, but that's besides the point. We continue adventuring through the cave, take out the ring and perform the healing words to heal us. We find another pauldron and grab it, some more bones and mushrooms and a torch. We take it, look around, and we look around here, obviously, but we can't look around to the immediate left and the last thing and notice a ring on the ground. Okay, good job. Anyways, we grab it, and Jiren makes his way through the rest of this cave, realizing, oh, this takes us right back to the start, and the only place left to go is one path we didn't explore. We notice a gate up ahead. Take out our axe just in case. Check to see if there's any more smugglers, because we hear footsteps, and as we open it, we notice 3 slaves, 2 Argonian slaves and a Khajiit slave. We decide to set all 3 of them free. Setting all 3 of the slaves free, they thank us, each giving us their name, and we let them know that there's supplies down below and clothes on some of the Dunmer that were keeping them here. We give them hope that maybe they can get out of here and maybe take some of the loot that was left behind for themselves so they can make a decent life or try to get out of Morrowind while they can. We make our way out of Adamastor's cave. Judging that it's about time that we get out of here and start making our way to Balmora, we decide to take the Stillstride. Making our way to the Stiltstrider, we also notice as she takes a long, barely opening her eyes to look at us as she yawns out, that she's the Caravaneer, and she's Gravame Liran, and that she can take us to any of the nearby Bitter Coast region areas. We look at her, waiting for her to give us some more detail, but it seems that she falls asleep, so we patiently wait. This late in the evening, we wouldn't want to disturb her. When we interrupt her brief snore and say to her, "Stiltstriders?" And she responds, "Oh, yes, Stiltstriders, us caravaneers, we pilot them, we haul out the entrails and the shell, and we maneuver it while you sit inside in the warm, gooey center." We ask her about the destinations, and she says that she can take us to Balmora, Vivek, Nissus, or Saran. Well, as she says that, we remember from earlier, we had a conversation with a man named Vodnius Nisius. And as Vodnius told us, if we mention his name to her, she'd give us a deal. Well, as we tell her that, she says that, but says that he doesn't seem too happy to be here at Morrowind, which we take and realize we have one more mission to do before we leave Seyda Neen.
We make a special trip just for you. Same low price.
Oh, thank you, Darvami. Check our journal with what she told us, and we know we have to help Vodnius, as with his son being sent off to Solestheim, he's probably not in the best of spirits at all, and maybe he's looking to make his way up to Kol and go visit his son. After making our way back to town, we see in the distance a depressed Vodnius.
Speak freely, friend.
And we say, "Vodnius, we spoke to Darvamine. It seems that you're not very happy." He responds at first trying to play it off, and then says that he is in fact not happy, and if he had 100 drakes, he could just get out of here, and he could get a boat to Narcissus. He lets us know that if we could help him, and we stop him and tell him yes, for 100 gold and the cursed ring, a deal is a deal. We take the deal.
You look ravaged.
Check our journal, writing down that we just traded 100 gold for a cursed ring, and take a look at the ring he gave us. Seems to damage our health, but also, for a good short while, improves our athletics by a rather decent amount. We take it gratefully and start making our way to Forn's shack, knowing that it's been cleared out and, for the time being, vacant. Perhaps we can get a little bit of a night's rest and prepare to do some shopping with Ariel in the morning before we depart. Making our way to the trade house, we go and we talk to Ariel, who says that he will not do any business with us because we have moon sugar and skooma on us, and he's not a man of ilk repute. We quickly jump off the platform, run back to Thorn Gilnith's house, hoping that we haven't embarrassed him or ourselves, and drop off all the moon sugar in our possession and skooma. We know it's of great value, and to the right people, could probably sell it for a lot, but not right now. We hope that Thorn's house will be empty by the time we make it back, and maybe if there's a thieves
Outlander,
guild,
what
we
do
think
you
to
want?
ourselves, maybe we could sell it somewhere there. So we shamefully make our way to Socius, seeing if in this small town we've been reported for carrying something illicit, and are prepared to pay whatever fine is necessary. To which, when we meet Socius, he just simply asks if we need more training or something else. We say no and goodbye and realize that Ariel has kept our secret, for now at least. We make our way out and back up out to the Stiltstrider port.
You want something?
And with that, that concludes this first part of Seyda Neen. all the adventures here are pretty much complete. I think that's all the quests that are tied with this particular city. If I missed anything, let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, little thumbs up goes a long way. And if you want to see more, I'll be making more of these. Go ahead and subscribe so you can stay in the know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time somewhere in Balmora. Maybe the Thieves Guild? The Fighters Guild? House Lalu? Who knows? But until then, see you
Where would you
around.
like to go?